want you to meet John Burden. John is owner of Atomic Dreams Real Estate Group, and you have quite a story. John, great to meet you. Thank you for coming.
Great to meet you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What's with the name of your company? I like it.
It's a good question. I appreciate it. Well, we really just wanted to think of something out of the box and different. And, a lot of people just use their own last name, and we wanted to have something different and fun. Just kind of pops out to you.
Yeah, so real estate actually is a pretty good business to be in right now.
It's incredible right now. Absolutely.
Yeah. And how'd you get started in this?
So my best friend and I were thinking about, so I used to live in Maui, and I was on the phone.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll have to get into that. We were talking on the phone about investments. We were just figuring we got to do something with investments. And he said, well, they're making these fourplexes and these apartment buildings out of shipping containers. And he said, let's do something like that.
Wow.
And so I said, yeah, let's learn about that. So I read, 10, 15 books on investments. Long story short, ended up here in real estate, growing a real estate team. Mm-hmm. So I work with, of course, investors, and I invest myself. But that's kind of what led me down that journey.
Wonderful. You have quite an interesting background, not just living in Hawaii, but you were in the Navy and tried for the SEALs. You did a lot of SEAL training.
Absolutely.
And gave you some discipline, didn't it?
Definitely does.
Yeah.
Definitely does. Yeah.
How tough was that?
It's a good question. It was really tough. And something I like to kind of tell people that are listening is kind of through my story. I started, 13, 14 years old, wanted to be a Navy SEAL. One of my best friends, Michael Neal, convinced me to go after that. And, I was doing workouts 4 hours a day of push-ups and eventually got to SEAL training. At the end of the day, most people quit not because it's tough, but because of what's coming, the next day. And so, in the moment, in my mind, it wasn't that tough. Doing a push-up isn't hard.
Yeah.
But it's doing the next 1,000. So that's...
Yeah. Not everybody makes it, but it still benefited you, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Going through that
it was
experience.
incredible. Yeah.
And then you went on to still serve in the Navy, and what did you do in the Navy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I ended up being a search and rescue swimmer, and I was navigation for our ship. So being able to pursue the search and rescue was still incredible and up my alley.
Well, that's wonderful. Yeah. That is wonderful. All right, so how did you end up living in Hawaii?
Well, good question. My wife basically wanted to pursue massage therapy, and there's a school out there, and so that kind of brought us out there. But, we're big into outdoors. I spearfish, free dive, we kayak, run, swim, bike, a lot of different stuff. And so it's just the most amazing place to do
everything. A lot of people don't think of Hawaii as this outdoor adventure place, but it really is.
Right, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, you can do a lot of stuff there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking before we came on the air because my wife and I go to Maui every year. It's just spectacularly beautiful.
It's phenomenal.
And how long did you live there?
We lived there for about 3 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's like a 3-year vacation, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Best way to describe it.
It's the dream. Yeah.
Let's talk about how you're motivated to do what you do and how you live your life. Can you speak from personal experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of going back to that story of Navy SEAL training, I really think I can attribute a lot of that to that training. And yeah, unfortunately, at the end of the day, I didn't make it. I did quit, and a lot of people, I think, won't admit that if that was them.
Yeah.
But it did happen, and what's amazing is I can learn from that lesson and see to not look forward too much into the future and say, oh, man, what about that? And not get too fearful of the future. So I was able to take that and just that mental toughness and just be able to essentially, when a client, we're at a low inventory in real estate, long story short. And so when a client can't find a home, I'm willing to door knock 400 homes in one day or cold call for 1,000 calls to try to find a seller that's not on the market, just to bring that into perspective. And so I think that's really helped me.
All right, let's talk about the real estate market for a moment. By the way, we're visiting with Joe Burden. Joe is the owner of Atomic Dreams Real Estate Group here on Coffee and Conversation. The market itself is pretty hot in terms of sales, right?
Absolutely.
And the inventory of listed homes is very low.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So in the country as a whole, we're about 60% has turned into a buyer's market. So we're predicting by 2020 or so, we're going to be have a lot higher inventory, on the market. But in Albuquerque, this is where it's a good thing. We're kind of lagging behind the country. And so we're still at a shortage of inventory. That's exactly right.
So what does that mean? Prices are going up for houses?
That's exactly right. So it's a phenomenal time for sellers to sell, long story short. The best time for them to sell because we're predicting next year, into 2020, it's going to be, basically the value of their home is going to eventually go down as inventory increases.
I see. Yeah. So for now, we're going to swim in this ocean of low inventory, but that's going to change.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, we have a 7-year pendulum every 7 years.
Yeah.
And it's pretty predictable.
Realtors talk to each other a lot, don't they? Hey,
Absolutely.
what's going on? And, what are you seeing? Everybody wants the crystal ball, right?
Right. Exactly. And it's like, oh, we don't have it, guys. Sorry.
My crystal ball isn't working today.
Exactly.
What advice do you have for people that want to get started in investing in real estate?
Oh, that's a great question. So, I think it's always good to tell a little bit of story, right? I was working with a client of mine yesterday, that's an investor. And, I think in Albuquerque particularly, you can get into a fourplex or a triplex, 3-unit or 4-unit property for almost as much or less than a single family home. So I always teach people, if you can make the numbers work, it's a phenomenal investment to look at a fourplex. And if it's your first investment, you can live in that home. And most people think you need to put 20% down. You don't if you're going to live in the property. You can put sometimes as little as $500 down, depending on income and other things. So I think that's the first place to start, is looking at investing in a fourplex. And, talk to a good agent. They can lead you through that.
And when you say make the numbers work, obviously you got to have the rents pay for the building.
That's exactly it.
And then you got to have maintenance costs in there too.
That's exactly it.
Because you're going to have to fix stuff. Do you have to be willing to do that, or can you contract that out?
I recommend, if you run it like a business, that you do contract that out. That you contact a good property management company. And there's some great ones out there, and there's some not so great ones out there, like any industry.
Sure.
But I recommend you contact them, and that way you can scale it larger, right? You can't you're only one person. So if you work on your fourplex, you're stuck there most of the time.
Yeah. You only have so much time to fix toilets and
exactly,
and turn on air conditioning and all that
and
kind of stuff.
It can get a little frustrating if you don't like fixing toilets.
Yeah, unless you're good at that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah. But that's probably not where you should spend your time. You should be spending your time either on your business or with your family.
Exactly.
Let the pros do that stuff.
I completely agree. Stick in your lane.
Is Albuquerque and New Mexico a good place to invest in real estate?
It's phenomenal. And that's one reason that we just kind of mentioned is why it's phenomenal, is the prices. You look at California for a fourplex, you're talking $1 million plus.
Starting at $1 million.
Starting, yeah. And here, we can get into one for $250, $300 for a good one. And so most people with a decent job can afford a fourplex or even a duplex in a nice area.
And create that as a side business.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Now, do you have to move into it?
You don't, no. It's just going to affect the amount of down payment you're putting down.
That's it. So if it's an owner-occupied property, then that's a different level of financing.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's the only difference.
Yeah. Can you do no money down deals anymore?
You can and you can't. There's definitely there's some creative financing that we can do that we could always get into, but yes, there's definitely avenues for that.
I got to tell you, this is a long time ago, but I bought a house once on sweat equity.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it was great.
That's
I had
the
to
way
put
to do
in
it.
a patio. I'm trying to remember. I had to put in some steps.
Yeah.
All outside stuff that needed done, and you add up the numbers for what it would cost you to have that done, and we kind of, with about 4 or 5 of us, we got it all done in a weekend, and I bought the house
That's awesome.
for doing patio work.
Yeah, yeah. Some people, a lot of people get in over their heads, right? Oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna flip it up like HGTV, and then
Oh yeah, that well,
10 grand, and then you're in 50 grand, and you're upside down.
yeah.
So
Those
that's smart.
guys are doing different stuff.
Absolutely.
That's a whole different ballgame.
You can find the deal. There's deals out there.
Are there
Absolutely.
flipping deals?
There are. It's getting a lot tougher, especially because of the inventory, like we
Right,
talked about, and there's a
right.
lot of investors out because of those shows.
They're shopping around because people come to town and give courses and that.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Gets everybody excited, and
Yeah.
fired up.
Well, why not?
It's good though.
It is.
Good.
I think it's good for the business. Where do you? So you said inventory is going to increase next year. What about home values? What's the buzz?
Absolutely. So we do think as inventory rises that home values are going to decrease.
Okay.
Now I wouldn't get too scared and think that it's going to be. Well, again, I always want to go back to we don't have that crystal ball.
Right.
You know, we can't say it's going to be 2008. We don't know what it's going to be like, but we definitely know the market is going to turn.
I see that in my notes here that you do videos for business owners.
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's something I'm really excited about and really excited to share with you. So what I started doing is instead of just door knocking and cold calling, which, you know, some people don't appreciate if I call them at 7 a.m. in the morning and ask them if they want to sell their home. So instead, we've been doing a lot of videos for business owners. And what's cool is it's completely free and just promotes the business. So we're just giving back to Albuquerque, but it's a win-win, right? It promotes both of our businesses, and it's really fun, right? So we've done sopas down in Bosque Farms, we've done Bahama Bucks, a lot of different local businesses.
And what's the reason for these profiles? Why are you doing it?
Cool. Well, I just want to basically create a good business relationship with these businesses and just help them promote. So a lot of smaller businesses don't have the money to, you know, spend $5,000, $10,000 on a professional advertisement for them. So I'm just coming in for free. We're shooting some fun video.
Oh, no.
and,
That's really cool.
Getting it out on social
So
media.
you met your wife at a Bible study.
Absolutely, yeah. That's it.
That's a good place to meet somebody, isn't
Pretty
it?
good place.
Yeah. How's that working out for you?
It's going pretty well. Yeah.
Good. That's lovely. That really is. Well, you're quite an interesting guy, and if people want to contact you, talk some real estate, and run some numbers, or just have a conversation like we're having, where can
Absolutely.
people reach you?
Yeah, definitely. So my number's 539-0289, and then our site is awesome, abqnmrealty.com. And of course, we're on all social media platforms, so you can check out our YouTube channel as well to see some of those videos.
You're a really nice guy, and this is fun. By the way, whatever happened to the shipping container investment idea
You know,
thing?
it's in the future. It's in the future.
It's still out there.
It's out there. We've done a little more Airbnb side of investments lately.
Oh, I hear those are very good.
Those are phenomenal, especially in Albuquerque.
That's
You
what I'm
wouldn't think,
hearing.
but they're amazing.
See, I got my ear to the ground too.
Yeah, it sounds like you do.
I pay attention.
Yeah.
I pay attention. Really great to meet you. Thanks for coming in.